Welcome back to the Champion Podcast. I'm a little chaotic this morning because Heather made is making me do two episodes, which is not a problem. Um, Scratch that. But anyway, for today's episode, we're going to talk about the 1 year of the Champions Podcast. That looks a little crazy, but I'm a little excited, and I wish I had Heather's resting face. But we're really excited that you're here. And we're going to talk about the 1 year mark of season 2 of the Champions Podcast and some of the monumental episodes that we have done over the course of this year. This was not at all what I had anticipated when we started this back up. I know that the Lord's hand has been in it. We both do from the start of season 2 because of what it's done. I'm going to be honest, it hasn't blown up, but we've had some good feedback from it.
It
And
hasn't blown up yet, but it
there you
can
go.
still happen.
And it will, I do believe. And if we stay rooted into who we are, which we will, I'm not a changer. Champ is champ, and champ is always going to be champ, and so is Heather. And but we're really excited about it, and I'm really excited to talk about these folks that have been on the podcast since then. And we want to take this time to just thank folks for taking the time to listen. Sometimes their episodes are great, sometimes they may not be. And I recognize that. That's human, right? I love being able to tell folks, look, I know I messed up that week in a sermon, okay? It's totally fine. And it's a growth process. So we're really excited that you joined us. And so I'm going to turn it over to Heather and just kind of let her start and then we'll conversate it through.
You talk about, maybe that week it wasn't as a hit as we had in our mind. And I think that's human with anything because whether it's public speaking, maybe it's a sermon on Sunday, maybe it's just, relating it to maybe you were writing a paper as a student, or maybe you were doing something as a job interview and you thought in your mind, oh, I'm just going to blow them away. And then it doesn't take off quite. And I've heard this even with social media content that, people pour hours and hours and hours into something and then it doesn't take off and they get disappointed. And then they have something that they put 30 minutes into and it takes off. And so we don't look at any episode as a failure. We look at it as growth, and this has been such an honor and privilege for both of us, not only to share our hearts with people, but to give the opportunity to share so many stories and put the spotlight on so many stories that help people feel less alone. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about God. Yes, we talk about him here, and yes, that's like our number one in our hearts, but it's about the growth of people and what they've been through and overcoming. And, we've had from people that had served time in prison and changed their life. We've had, we've had IVF journeys. We've had caregiver slash parent journeys. We've had uh, chronic illness warrior journeys. We've had so many different types of journeys. We've had people that, maybe have lost a loved one. There's so many things that we like to put light on because so many people deal with different things. And that's what I like about the podcast. We don't really shy away from challenging people and taking on a topic. Some people might would say, well, don't you want to just have just everything about faith? Well, yeah, of course, that would be awesome. But we don't shy away from getting those people from all walks of life because something that we say may encourage them and something they say may impact us. So we really like having these conversations. And I do, like Champ said, we want to thank everyone for being a part of this journey so far. And me and Champ still have a lot of aspirations and optimism about this podcast. We can see what it's already done for people. And I think it's important to know, and him and I have talked about this, is 1 million listeners amazing? Absolutely. But maybe that 100 listeners a week, that's doing something.
Hmm.
That's affecting their life. And that's more than zero. And so it does, the consistency I've had people tell me, gosh, that's a lot of podcasts. It is. Sometimes it is. But each week we dedicate ourselves to bringing a conversation to someone. And we've actually been proud of ourselves, even with Champ's crazy schedule, that we have
Hmm.
stayed consistent in this for an entire year, every single week, bringing an episode, getting guests. We still have guests that are gonna come on here in a few weeks. And so it gives us a platform, but it gives these people a platform to share their stories. And it doesn't mean that they don't necessarily have a platform without us. It just means that we're blessed that we can give them the opportunity to share. And so, yeah, I think it's just been a journey so far, and we enjoy every minute of it. And we can't wait to just see where things take us next. And I think what makes our podcast successful is Champ and I obviously are childhood friends, but we may have different personalities. We may think a little bit differently about things, but that's what's the beauty of it. It's not the exact same view, the exact same feeling, the exact, it's something different. But yet, if Champ comes on here and says, "Well, Heather, I feel differently about this," there's respect there. We can have a conversation without jumping down each other's throat,
Hmm.
and that's what we've always liked about each other is like we can come on here and make jokes about having disabilities. Doesn't mean we're insulting each other. That's just our personality. If you've probably heard me and him joking at each other through several episodes, but that's just our language. And it's fun to have a friend like that. It's fun to have a friend that is not so uptight that you can't make a joke or you can't like you we don't have fear with expressing our opinions to each other, and so that's the beauty of it. And we encourage our guests to share their opinions, and if it differs, we have respect for all. And so that is what I truly value about our podcast, and it's something that maybe is a little different from some people's, but that's what I like about it is it's two childhood friends that, one's a pastor, one's a songwriter and author and musician and patient advocate. And we have totally different disabilities and illnesses. And we come on here and we encourage other people because we want to uplift other people.
And Heather, I couldn't have said that any better myself. I think that is what makes this so special. And I think this is I will say, this has grown our friendship. You call me a lot more than you ever have before, and vice versa. And I'm thankful for it. But I want to say that, like, when it comes to this platform that we've been given, it is it is more than I have ever thought it would be. Um, Listen, I have gone to churches to guest preach or guest speak, and the preacher will get up and introduce me and say, all these things, and then he'll say, and he has a podcast, and I'm like, huh? I never thought that was like reaching that. I never thought that that was, one of my mentors, Reverend Stuart Kidd, about a year or so ago. Well, actually about 2 years ago. He asked if I would come preach homecoming service for one of his churches in Salem Methodist Church in Kershaw County or in that area. So about 45 minutes from here. We went and he was introducing me, and I knew who Stuart was. We had kind of conversations because, like I said, he was a former pastor for St. Matthew, but I really didn't know kind of the impact or what he was talking about. And so when I got up to preach, he introduces me and he starts talking about the podcast that I've done with you. And then he starts talking about the blog that I used to do that's still up that I haven't really written in a long time. And I was like, huh? I never thought that people went back and listened to that. That was like years ago. But people are listening and have listened, and that reminds me of how important our legacy, right? Our legacy is, and how important it is to be who we say we are, and keep this platform going. Now, to my estimation of the whole thing, I've loved it. Heather talked about the consistency. I've learned a lot this year. I've learned a lot about you have to be consistent even when you don't want to. And I don't want to say there have been days that I didn't want to do this or weeks that I didn't want to do this, but there's been weeks there's the other things have come up, and I'm like, can I just go on and do it maybe next week or next day? And Heather's been so adamant and firm, and I'm grateful for that sort of
Yeah,
camaraderie.
I've told you some days like I'll go on there and do it myself, like if you're too busy and be like, no, 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 I'm not too busy.
And I think but that's the point, right? That's like, that's you holding me accountable to say, all right, if that's not what you want to do, I'll do it. And then I'm like, no, but I feel an obligation because people look forward to it. And I'm just been grateful for that. And I will say that in work, like being an entrepreneur or someone like this, that's what it takes, right? You gotta find the people that are willing to hold your feet to the fire, even after all of the newness wears off. I'll be honest, one of my downfalls as a person is I get really excited, really, really pumped up. And I love newness and I love excitement and I love anticipation. But when I get there with the gas and the pedal, sometimes it's hard for me to keep pressing. Does that make sense? I mean,
Hmm.
it's hard for me to keep pressing that gas because, all right, I got there, I made it. Now what? And I'm a thrill-seeking junkie. I really am. And Heather's been the one that said, "No, we got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep going." And so I've really appreciated that. Now, the folks that have been on here, it's funny you mentioned Portia Louder was one of your first ones that mentioned, and I remember when you called me about her, I was like, oh, okay, hold on. This is gonna, but I've grown to appreciate her words. Watched her content from this point forward, and I've been thankful for that. Eli Yoder, um,
Former
I have
Amish.
former Amish, loved his content. Um,
It's been eye-opening conversations, is I think what you're trying to get at is that it was never you shied away necessarily from having somebody on. It enlightened you on so many topics, is what
yeah,
I think
yeah.
you're trying to say.
And it made me appreciate their story, right? It made me appreciate them, and it made me appreciate their story. I think about, and I can't think of her name, and I hate that I can't remember all these episodes. Uh, I think she had CF and she runs
Cassandra.
Cassandra. I just loved that, like that joy and her passion and her zeal and just her zest for life, and like that was life-giving to me. Like I would be lying to you if I did not tell you that there have been weeks where I have sat in this chair in this office of mine at this desk in front of this screen And I feel like even though I've been on the other end of the camera with these folks, I feel like I've had the opportunity to go through the screen and listen and gain some sort of insight or wisdom or just some sort of life was kind of retransplanted, right? We talk about transplant a lot, retransplanted back into me of you got to keep moving. You got like look at that person. Let that person inspire you. People talk about we inspire them. Y'all, we have to be inspired to keep doing what we're doing. Um, and I'm just naming them off as they come to my mind. DJ,
Tyler
the
White.
Tyler White, yes, that
And he
was.
is, for those that don't know, he is on the show Love on the Spectrum, but Tyler has actually recently, since we filmed our episode, was able to debut his new single, Oh Yeah Baby, at the Grand Ole Opry. And that was an amazing moment. You can actually go on social media and find it. But I think back to his conversation, and I think he was so full of life and what could possibly, the doors that could be open for him. And here we are months later. He has got on one of the biggest stages there is, and he's still hitting the ground running. And what a gift that is, that he has not let autism stop him. And who would have thought that a TV show about dating with autism would have opened doors for him? And I think it helps me even with my own songwriting, feel inspired and encouraged. And also even with our podcast to see where it goes. And that was a fun episode, and it was an honor to have him on. And he is so just good old country boy. And I don't know, he's a fun person.
I hope that Heather can go back at the end of this podcast and just kind of do a collage or a slideshow of just the different folks that we've had on here and just the kind of maybe some of those moments because it was so good. And then I think about
I don't know,
your
you
aunt.
might be asking me a lot, champ. There's like over 50 episodes.
Oh, you can handle it. She can handle it, or I can. I don't care. Um,
Mhm.
But I think about people like your Dina Joy. I think about our moms. I can remember
Emily's
sitting,
episode.
yeah, but I can remember sitting here with Mama and just in that season of life being so proud, um, and so excited, and then we walked through some of that with you, then all of you, and just the joy and the pride that she has. And I think about your mom, and I think about Emily. I think about there's another one that's going to come to my mind.
You've
It's
had
gonna
you've had Meredith and Tyler.
that one was one of my specialties. That one touched me in a different way. I think about Emily. I think about the rapper. Who was the rapper? The rapper
Oh, Nick.
Nick. Yeah, I just because I love. Now, let me tell you what I do. I go back through like some of these episodes, and I love looking at these people and just the pictures that we put on the front. I'm thinking, I remember that episode. I remember that episode. I remember, and I may not remember every word, but I remember things that they said. Um, I remember how I felt when I left. There have been a couple of episodes that I wasn't on that I just came back and gave kind of quick visions on or quick thoughts about. Um, I remember the episode we did with Chris, with my best friend in the world. I was thankful for that and proud of that. And um, I think the one that will forever leave its mark on me. Um, probably would have to be either mom's or Emily's. Um, just because, or either Meredith and Tyler's. I know that those are like my top three. Because I remember Meredith and Tyler's was in a season for me where I needed to be reignited, right? I needed to be reset on fire. Um, and there have been, and then the podcast opened the door for me to go to a Phil Wickham concert with Heather, and just like I think about all those experiences and Emily, and I think about all those things, and just we would have never, I honestly firmly believe we would have never done that even together had it not been for this, right? Had it not been for this podcast going into its second season, I would have never gone to that concert with you. Emily would have never gone with us. And nothing happens by accident or by chance. And so we hope that you've enjoyed it. I've loved some of
And
the I've loved.
if you're by chance listening to this and you know of somebody that would like to step out of their comfort zone and be a guest, or you yourself would like to be a guest, just reach out to us. You can find our email like on the channel. I know on YouTube on you can contact us through Facebook or Instagram. And mine is Heather underscore McCoy 3, Champs is Champ Squires 1. And we're, like we said,
No,
we're
just Tim
open.
Squire. What are you talking about? For what
Your
now?
Instagram.
Oh, Tim Squires one. You know my own Instagram. I don't even know that. Yeah, and I also I want to talk about one that we haven't mentioned, and I don't know if we both forgot about it or we just didn't think. But I want to call out Robin Sherman. That was a powerful one for me. Um, for those of you who don't know, she was excited, but she was nervous. She had a lot of anxiety to do that. And we didn't get any, it wasn't any feedback really on that one, but I want to call out the ones that were, I don't want to say they were difficult, but that were outside of folks' comfort zone. And that was way outside of what she thought she wanted to do. And so when she got on,
And
she
she
was
has trouble speaking too.
yeah, and so but the fact that she did that and she did it and she did it so well. Um we're really proud of her. And I'm really proud of her. I'm really thankful that she took that step of faith. We're not going to turn you away. We will, if we're not going to turn you away. Now, will we give you pointers and things that to share with you, or will we ask for different things? Sure. That's only fair. But we're never going
The only thing we do not encourage here is we don't appreciate foul language. And that's just because it's not that we judge you for that, but we like to keep our content family friendly because we do have people that maybe their kids listen to this content and that would just totally be off the rails crazy for us as people that are trying to show faithful and inspiring content to just have people in here using a lot of language that we don't find appropriate for minors. You can do that in your own life, but we just do not encourage that on our podcast. But that does not mean we judge you. We just ask that if that is in your lifestyle and you do want to be a guest, please just refrain from using that while you're filming. Um, but like Champ said, well, it's not that we don't shy away. And I love that about us, that we don't say, well, you have to have this or you have to be this way in order to be on. We say it all the time. If we had an atheist that decided that they wanted to come share a story, We're going to sit down and have a
Come on, bring it
conversation.
to me. Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's
And it's
go.
not that we're going to start throwing Bibles, but it's that that's what we should be doing as Christians, is having a conversation. And him and I both believe in that. And so, yeah, like we said, if you have somebody in mind or you yourself wrestle with the idea of, hey, this is an opportunity, contact us. Because, we'll sit down and have that conversation. We will have a conversation when some people would say no.
I love that. There's two more that I really want to emphasize. One was a good friend of yours and mine, Victoria Bibb. I
Hmm.
was about to call her by her maiden name. That was rough. Tyler, I wouldn't do that to you. But really excited. That was a really, I think I really enjoyed that because I needed to hear that from a pastoral perspective from her. And then the other one that I kind of want to leave with was "Nothing Is Wasted" by Davy Blackburn. Um, I want to spend some time on that, and I promise I'm gonna try not to cry. But let me give a little backstory as appropriate as I can to that. Um, so his was back on February. It was filmed on February 19th of this year, and I started reading the book um, right around that, or actually on that morning. And then I was had something ministry related to do that day that kind of some ways fit some of that story. And I just Davy's story and the way he articulated it was so profound. I've read through the whole book. The book changed my life. It really had. Actually, the book was so good that this book then turned me into a reader again. So I started going to the public library. I started ordering on Hoopla for books, and then I read another book by one of the authors that helped him write this one, which was Levi Lusko, Through the Eyes of a Lion. So. But I read this book and just the way that he articulated it, even you didn't get the whole story in the podcast because we only had a certain length of time with him. But I really want to encourage people to read this. If you need encouragement, if you need to realize how or need help, kind of learning how to grab deal with the gravity of your pain and your loss. Nothing is Wasted is an incredible book. He's an incredible speaker, incredible communicator. His Pain to Purpose course is awesome. And I'm just really thankful that he took the time to come on the podcast. Like I said, I've given several copies of this book out. I'm actually ordering more because this has radically changed the way that I walk through pain with folks. So, again, those are just a few. There's how many episodes altogether, Heather?
At least near 60. I know that since we started in 2020, there's like 61 episodes on our actual YouTube page. So I would say at least 50s, 40, 50
So
episodes now.
40 to 50, almost 60 in total. So if you need encouragement, we're the place to come find it. If you want other resources, we're going to start in the next round of this. There's some stuff that's coming that's not privy to be released yet. But there is some things that's coming. But I think in the next round of this, we're going to start giving more resources. I'm going to start giving more content. I'm actually going to start giving more writing. And
And I'm
so,
writing my second book that I'm hoping to get finished by the end of the summer. So I will
ooh,
have that one, and it will be called A Warrior with Gifted Life. So that will
oh,
be an exciting thing to get that one out because I've been working on it for a little bit.
So there's a lot to look forward to. We just wanted to say happy birthday to the Champions podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed doing it. We've got other guests that are coming.
You said happy birthday. It's happy anniversary.
Oh, sorry. 1 year. Keep me straight, Heather. That's what she does. So we hope that you've enjoyed today's episode of the Champions Podcast, recapping the greatness of what the Lord has done, looking forward with hope and promise into the future. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for joining us
God is good.
all the time.